I am excited to welcome you to Secret of Public Speaking. My name is Joseph Jacob. Today, we are looking at the best way we can choose the right words for our speech. In our last video, we compared a public speaker to a doctor, and we said what drugs are to the doctor is what words are to the public speaker. Even though the doctor has so many drugs at his disposal, he doesn't just prescribe drugs anyhow without considering necessary things. For example, even when two persons are suffering from the same ailment, you might have noticed that the doctor will give them different drugs after considering their different circumstances. The same thing applies to public speaking. That we have a lot of words at our disposal doesn't mean that we use words carelessly. For us to choose the right words as a public speaker, there are two important things we need to consider. One, we need to consider whether the words we are choosing will obstruct communication. And secondly, we need to understand the connotation of the words we are using. Let's take the first one. Since we need words to communicate, you might be wondering, how then can that same word be an obstruction to communication? A word will be an obstruction to communication if the audience cannot understand the word. Remember, as we've said in one of our previous videos, public speaking is not about showing off. It's about communication. Anything that hinders communication, even if it is the choice of words we use, it's important we avoid such things. So, when a word is so difficult for the audience to understand, they will lose the meaning of the message we are trying to pass to them. So that is why it's important that we choose our words carefully. But how can we select the right word to use when preparing for our speech? Let's consider three examples. In each of these examples, we have a group of words, and we'll see how the speaker will try to choose the right words from the group of words. Our first example is the word honest. Under honest, we have words like truthful, candid, veracious, and scrupulous. If a speaker is speaking to children or people with little or no formal education, do you think it will be wise if he's using the fourth and the fifth words, veracious and scrupulous? Definitely, most of his audience will not understand what he's talking about. But if he's speaking to professors, people in the academia, he can use words like veracious and scrupulous. They will understand it easily. Let's go to the second example, humble. When he uses words like humble, down to earth, almost everybody, no matter how much formal education they have, they will understand what he's saying. But when you now go to words like ingenious, unassuming, unpretentious, some in the audience, depending on their educational level, might find it difficult to understand what he's saying. Our third example is newspaper. When a speaker says newspaper, almost everybody will understand what he's talking about. What if he chooses to use words like bulletin, journal, gazette, journal? You see, words like that should be reserved for an audience who are highly educated, because they will definitely understand what the speaker is saying. The second thing a speaker needs to do as he tries to choose the right words for his speech is to understand the connotation of the words. What is connotation? Well, before we talk about connotation, it's also important that you know what denotation is. In our last video, we talked about using the dictionary to find meaning of words. Those meanings we'll find in the dictionary are what we call denotation. They are the literal meaning of the word we are looking for. But then connotation is the meaning behind the word, is the meaning beyond the literal meaning of the word. Sometimes two words might be similar, but they connote different things. So we need to know the connotation of the words we want to use so that we will not pass the wrong message to the audience. Now, there are three types of connotation. A connotation can be a positive connotation. The second one is negative connotation. And the third one is in a situation where the word is neither positive nor negative. We can now say it's a neutral connotation. For you to understand what I'm trying to explain right now, we will use 10 sentences to see how different words can connote different things and why you should be careful about using the right one. Our first example is this. Uche is the leader of the group. Uche is the leader of the gang. Uche is the leader of the club. Uche is the leader of the clique. The words clique, club, gang, group are very similar words. But when you use them, they don't really convey the same meaning. When you say Uche is the leader of the group, it's a neutral connotation because a group can be a good group or a bad group. But the second sentence, Uche is the leader of the gang, is a negative connotation because the word gang is associated with violent crime. The third sentence, Uche is the leader of the club, is a positive connotation because club is often used as a positive word to denote group of people who come together for a positive cause. The fourth sentence, Uche is the leader of the clique, is also a negative connotation because the word clique refers to a group of people that don't want other people to be part of that group, and they use that their group to intimidate other people. Example number 2. Kylian Mbappe is a young player. Kylian Mbappe is a childish player. The words we want to focus on here are young and childish. Both words are similar. They are referring to someone who is very young. But when you say Kylian Mbappe is a young player, you are saying that Kylian Mbappe is a very good player even though he is young. It's a positive connotation. But when you say Kylian Mbappe is a childish player, you are saying that he doesn't play well. After all, he's just a child. And that is a negative connotation. Example number 3. The stench was coming from the kitchen. The aroma was coming from the kitchen. Our words here are stench and aroma. Stench gives us that feeling that the smell is very offensive. But aroma and kitchen, when we hear these two words, we may even start salivating because it gives us the connotation of something that smells very good. Let's go to example number 4. Pascal is a frugal young man. Pascal is a stingy young man. The words we are focusing on here are stingy and frugal. Both of them means someone who doesn't spend money easily. But the first sentence, frugal, is giving us the positive connotation that Pascal is wise. He doesn't waste his money. But the second sentence, stingy, gives us the connotation that Pascal doesn't like spending his money even on issues that he ought to spend money on. So you see, stingy is a negative connotation, while frugal is a positive connotation. Example number 5. Ugomma is an arrogant woman. Ugomma is a confident woman. Our two words here are arrogant and confident. Which one do you think is positive? Definitely confident. And arrogant gives a negative connotation. Let's go to number 6. Charles is a liar. Charles is a storyteller. These stories that Charles used to tell in the second sentence may be lies, false stories. But using the word storyteller gives it a positive connotation. After all, people enjoy listening to stories. But the first sentence, liar, is an outright negative connotation. Example number 7. My landlord is interested in my marital issues. My landlord is curious about my marital issues. My landlord is nosy about my marital issues. Our 3 words here are nosy, curious, and interested. 3 of them, though literally, might be related, but in terms of connotation, they mean outrightly different things. To be interested in something means you are looking for means to help. Is a positive connotation. You are interested because you want to help. You want to offer assistance. But in the second sentence, curious, it is a neutral connotation. Will this curiosity move him to help? Or will this curiosity move him to only gossip? We don't know yet. So the curiosity is a neutral connotation. Now look at the last sentence. My landlord is nosy about my marital issues. The nosy is outrightly negative connotation, but the landlord is poke-nosing, trying to find out what is not his business. And that is outrightly a negative connotation. Let's go to number 8. The company employed the indigents. The company exploited the indigents. In both sentences, we understand that the company gave the indigents or citizens of their host community employment. But the first sentence is telling us that these people were employed and they were taken care of, they were well paid. But the second sentence is telling us that these people that they employed, they were just like slaves. They were suffering them. Perhaps the remuneration is not commensurate with the work they are doing. That is a negative connotation. Number 9, this shoe is affordable. This shoe is cheap. We are looking at cheap and affordable, and both words mean not being expensive. But the connotation they give are not the same. When you say something is affordable, like in this case, a shoe, it means that the shoe is of high quality. Yet, it is not as expensive as the quality deserves. So the shoe is affordable. But when you say the shoe is cheap, you are not only referring to the price, you are also referring to the quality. You are giving the connotation that the shoe is also inferior. Let's take our last example. He cautiously left through another road. He cowardly left through another road. Our words here are cautiously and cowardly. While cautious is giving a positive connotation, cowardly is giving a negative connotation. When someone is cautious, he senses a danger and knows that at that moment, the right course of action is to avoid the danger. When someone is a coward, even when there is no danger, or even if there is a danger, and the right approach would be to confront the danger, he will be avoiding the danger. So while cautiously gives us a positive connotation, cowardly is a negative connotation. This is where the curtain falls. Have you noticed sometimes that some speakers don't speak up to the time they were given to speak? Others will also exceed the time they were given, and in fact, they will be interrupted. Things like this happen because the speaker failed to manage his time very well. In our next video, we'll focus on how to manage our time so that we will not fall short or will not exceed the time. Thank you.